G'day traders, we're going to wrap up with Wednesday the 2nd of May on the daily chart. That's the candle that we're looking at. So what happened approaching this day in the pre-market? The market did sell off, and also the previous day if you remember, we had a massive push up, and then basically last half of the afternoon we got some pretty good sellers in. Then through the pre-market it sold off. So as we're approaching this candle, or the start of this cash market, there was definitely some sellers around. However, we're still above this support area, and we're still in buyer's territory, even though there was some seller pressure. So the way I looked at it is it was 50-50, with more of an influence, I guess, slightly more 60-40 to the buyers, knowing that if it did start pushing down, just to be very careful on the sell side until really we start breaking below this support level. So in saying that, exactly what happened was that the market had a bit of a sideways area before pushing down and getting to this 1390, 1385 region, which has been solid support. Okay, so as soon as we approached that area, then we started coming back or having a retracement. And you've got to be very careful as far as what you're going to do from there. If all you're doing was looking at these charts, then you'd go, okay, we've got all these sellers, this would be a great place to sell from. But the fact was, like on the dailies, there was a lot of we're in buyer's territory. Also, the Russell and the Nasdaq, they were very much holding or having holding formations. In this area here, they didn't push much lower than this opening area, so they were showing signs that they really want to get back on the upside. So when this predictive crossed up, I thought an area where we could potentially look to sell. I thought the opposite, because of the other markets and because of the daily charts, is a great area that the buyers are going to launch themselves from and potentially push higher. So from there, they did. The predictive average crossed up, and this is where they really started to go higher. Broke those cash market highs. From there, it's just a matter of trying to find, first of all, see how far I want to go up. And obviously, this is a new buyer's trend, and this is really in line with what we kind of expected. Then look for some sort of pullback, and then get on the buy side again. So this here is a 5-minute fade here, just a little bit shallow. I just thought there was a little bit more support around the 1393 area. Would have liked to see it pop down a little bit before going again. But definitely, the buying sort of area, no matter where you got the entry, definitely the area was an area that the buyers were going to launch themselves from. From there, they started to push higher. Was looking at this area to see if there was a breakout coming, and the buyers were going to all of a sudden break it. You can see, they've come up once, twice, and this is basically the third time, and basically in the first pullback of this new trend. Watching the other markets very closely, nothing was really happening. The other markets weren't pushing. We had a second pullback in this same area, and then this is through lunch. And then this area here, I really like this for some sort of buying around the 1395 to 50, 1395.50 area, because if you look at it close to the other markets, and I suggest you keep an eye on this. Let's go to the 1 minute chart. Actually, might show it better. Here's the area here. So this candle here, uh, either here or here, it was contained and still within the cash market highs, but at the exact same time, you go over to the Russell and the Nasdaq and put your cursor on the exact same candle, it was like it was a couple of minutes in front. It was already well and truly broken, and that's the kind of evidence I need to say, okay, let's jump on and take a breakout trade. So that's the big difference between here, looking at the 5 minute chart, and here. So there's no evidence that it was coming here. Doesn't mean it won't come. Sometimes the ES leads it and goes without any sort of warning, but most of the time the other small markets will break first. So there's no indication of here, thus we got a little bit of a pullback. But when it came the second time, all the evidence was there, and it's a great area to again buy from. From there, you can see the markets pull back to that same area where they launched from, and then they've gone again. But without really without breaking high, really, you can see very much contained within this sideways range, but definitely buyers in control. And I guess this kind of bouncing between areas is a result of yesterday being very much all the way up and all the way down, and it was all one movement, one move up, one move down. Whereas today, the markets won't like to do that again, so that's why we're seeing a lot of bouncing between areas. Just to show you on the 1 minute chart, so we had very much a sideways start. Again, that's just due to such the free flowing markets we had the day earlier, so it's just kind of consolidating and deciding what it wants to do. This is where it started to push down. We got a bit of a bounce here, it came down again, and again, this is the area we're talking about how the markets were holding, and it was kind of going against the dailies, and it was going to try to quite a strong support area. So it really needed to break down if I was going to be convinced the sellers were coming. But this support level held shows that this buyers territory that we're in, this general area, is holding quite well for the buyers. From there we pushed up higher. This sort of power fade is definitely an option. Probably not the way it was here. It kind of just pushed straight up. But if we saw it come up, sort of hit it and then fail, and then maybe have a little bit of a shoulder and then go again, that's the sort of area that you could really look to go for, and that lines up with the dailies and the other markets and that sort of thing. From there, this is the area we talked about earlier where we had a first pullback, no break, the other markets weren't supporting it. Then a second pullback, and this is where the other markets really supported that breakout, and then away it went. This PowerPoint here, watching it live, thought it had a lot of opportunity to hold because this is where the buyers are pushing up high, and they're basically coming back to that area where they launched themselves from. So if the buyers were strong, they're always going to hold that area, and they'll kind of were proving themselves to be strong today. Pretty much throughout the whole day, apart from that first little push down that we had. And then you can see we had kind of a bounce between PowerPoints just to finish the afternoon. So that's a wrap up for Wednesday. We'll speak to you guys on Thursday.